You shook hands at $4 million. Then that same buyer came back and said $3,400,000. That's what due diligence when buying a business does to a seller's price. And it costs owners more than any tax mistake I know of. Ray built a plumbing supply business in Pennsylvania over 31 years. He shook hands at $4 million. He signed at $3,400,000, and nothing about his company changed in between. Here's where his $600,000 went, because the math is simpler than people pretend. The price a buyer offers you is a formula. He takes your yearly earnings and multiplies them. So a buyer who wants to pay less has two doors he can walk through. One door is arguing your multiple down, and most buyers leave that one alone. The multiple is roughly public, and your broker will fight over it all day. The other door is your earnings, and that door is wide open. Your earnings are whatever the buyer's accountant says they are, once he's been through your books for a month. That second door is called the retrade. Every dollar he strips out of your earnings gets multiplied. Ray's buyer found $100,000 of costs that Ray called business and the buyer called personal. At a 6 multiple, that's $600,000 off the price. $100,000 of loose bookkeeping turned into $600,000 of Ray's retirement. I'm James Bell, and I've sold 5 of my own companies. Ray didn't do anything wrong. He kept his records the way his accountant set them up back in 1998. The report he's writing is called Equality of Earnings, and every serious buyer orders one. People hear the word audit and relax. An audit asks whether your numbers are accurate. Equality of Earnings asks something harder. It asks how much of your profit will still be there next year after you're gone. He's reading 3 years of your general ledger line by line, and he's hunting for 3 things. He wants profit that walks out the door with you. He wants revenue that showed up once and won't come back. He wants costs sitting on your books at a number a new owner could never repeat. Check every one of these against your own books this week. The first is your own pay. Say you pay yourself $200,000 to run the place. A real manager to replace you would cost $400,000. Your buyer adds that missing $200,000 back in as a cost. So your earnings drop by $200,000 before he's looked at anything else. The second is family on the payroll. A son who's genuinely running your second location is a cost the buyer keeps. A daughter drawing $60,000 who hasn't been in the building since March is a different story. You'll be asked to prove that one, and proving it is harder than it sounds. The third is rent, and it's what caught Ray. A lot of owners own the building through a separate company and charge the business a friendly number. Ray was charging himself $4,000 a month for a warehouse that rents for $9,000. The buyer marked that rent up to market. $60,000 a year came straight off his earnings, and at his multiple, that was most of the damage. The fourth is customer concentration, and it's the quietest one of the group. If a single customer is 30% of your revenue, a buyer usually won't touch your earnings for it. He'll cut your multiple instead, and he'll call it risk. Now, the timing is the part that makes owners angry, and you want to understand it before you're standing in it. None of this lands while you still have leverage. You sign a letter of intent first, and that letter almost always gives the buyer exclusivity for 60 or 90 days. For that whole window, you've agreed not to talk to anybody else. Your other interested buyers go cold. Your staff has started to suspect something. You've already told your wife the number. Then the quality of earnings shows up. The buyer is calm and a little apologetic, and he explains that his lender won't support the original price, given what the report found. By the time Ray sat in that meeting, he'd burned 3 months and spent $40,000 on lawyers and accountants. Every other buyer he'd had in the spring was gone. He signed that afternoon. His buyer knew he would when he scheduled the meeting. Here's what you actually do about it. And all 3 happen before you ever sign a letter of intent. First, buy your own quality of earnings report before you go to market. It runs somewhere between $15,000 and $40,000 depending on your size, and it's the best money you'll spend on the entire sale. Every ad back a buyer was going to spring on you in month 3 shows up in your own report in month 1, while you've still got 3 interested parties and all of your leverage. Second, clean up those 4 items and give yourself a full year of clean books before you list. Put your own pay at market. Take relatives off the payroll unless they really work there. Move your rent to a market rate and sign yourself a real lease. Each of those hurts your reported profit today, and each of those stops a buyer from taking a multiple of it away from you later. Third, negotiate the letter of intent like it's the real negotiation, because it is. Hold exclusivity to 45 days and make it expire on its own. Write in that the price only moves if diligence turns up something material you didn't disclose. Then put a real number on the word material. A buyer who means to deal with you straight will sign that language. A buyer who is counting on the retrade will start explaining why he can't, and he's just told you exactly who he is, while you can still walk away. Ray wasn't careless. He'd just never seen this done before, and the man across the table had done it 40 times. So get your own quality of earnings first. Clean up those 4 add-backs a year early. Cap the exclusivity in your letter of intent. Do those 3 things, and the number you shook hands on is the number you take home. I put the full diligence checklist in my free guide, the Exit Readiness Playbook. It's 8 chapters, and it's the same checklist I use with my own clients. The link is right below this video. If you're selling in the next few years, subscribe to the playbook, because I walk through one of these deal traps every week. You build something worth buying, and that's rare. I'll see you in the next one.